Oh, you damn right. Let's get the modcast going for a Tuesday. Tuesdays at noon now as Catch takes an administrative day. We got him to finally pick a day, and it's Tuesday. That means he's off the modcast for a little while. I'm jumping in just to moderate. I'm going to get everything I can get out of these three guys. We got Jason Sukamel. We've got Alex Dunlap. And we've got a crystal clear Anwar Richardson. Before we dig into it, Anwar, even before I thank the great folks at Daily and Black, I know you have something you would like to say before we get started.
Well, I've cursed Spectrum for a little bit of a time here. Oh, well, see what happened was Spectrum. Yeah, y'all are okay. See, apparently I needed to be cursing my Google Mesh system. That was actually the real problem, the real culprit in this whole thing. But now my Spectrum guy came out. He sorted it out. I'm actually my downloads and uploads are running at high speeds, and I'm going to test fate right now.
I'm
going to test the gods. Okay. I don't think I'm going to have any internet problems with Spectrum anymore. I'm just going to test it.
And we lost Anwar.
There it is.
I feel like your colors are even brighter, dude. Maybe it's just
it's everything.
On me, but yeah,
it's everything. At Spectrum, I love you. I'm so sorry, man. It wasn't you. It was me. But Spectrum, I'm so sorry for all the bad things I said about you. Now you deserved it the other times. I'm not gonna let you forget that. But so far so good.
Glad to see Anwar. Glad that the video and the audio seem to be matching
up. Right? No kung fu talking here.
He can do all kinds of
like that.
He can do hand movements like I do, and it'll be fine. Yes. We're going to get you the very latest in Longhorn football stuff. We'll have a good conversation as always. If you want to jump in to the Specs chat, Uncle Mickey from north of the border, he might be interested in a hockey game later in the week. He jumps in. We get all kinds of emojis sent to us. Oh, yeah, there. Plethora of piñatas. We already have a couple different flags being sent in. And then our guy, Cody Carpentier, could not resist with a booby. Yes, Cody Carpentier. We'll discuss Booby Feaster on today's show. Also, if you look in the upper left there, you see the Daily and Black QR code. Daily and Black brings you the modcast each and every week. Go click that QR code to find out what Daily and Black can do for you and all of your legal needs. Gentlemen, let's dig into some recruiting here. Jason, you got to go to the Under Armour event in Dallas over the weekend, and I know you're still kind of unpacking a lot of that. But today we're going to talk about not only an interesting name, but certainly an interesting prospect in Booby Feaster. And everything feels like it now needs to pick up because we don't just have like a star rating discussion to have. Now it's a reclassification discussion. Get everybody caught up with where we are right now with Booby Feaster.
Yeah, a lot going on with Booby in the last few days. The Under Armour camp, they label it Dallas. It was actually in Melissa, so kind of east of Dallas. Man, what a beautiful facility they have at Melissa High School. Seriously, it blows away most college facilities. It's incredible. So thankfully, because like 20 degrees outside, the camp was indoors. That was nice. But, it's interesting. I talked to Booby on Sunday, so and he reclassified last week. Chad, I actually heard on Friday, literally I was driving up to Dallas, went up there on Friday. Like I mentioned to you, I spent my Valentine's Day with Jason Howell. So husband of the year right here, husband of the year, leaves his wife at home. It's funny. I'm getting sidetracked. I left my wife a super sweet card on Valentine's Day on Friday. I said, 25 years we've been together. I said, nobody I love spending more time with more than you. I love you so much more than that. And I gave her the card and oh, love spending time with you. But, oh, by the way, I'm out the door to go hang out with Jason Howell for the day. Wow. So, but Booby Feaster. So on Friday, I'm driving up to Dallas and I start getting texts from somebody. And it's like, hey, I don't think Texas and Booby's not looking great. And, not that Texas doesn't like him and won't take him, but maybe they're not prioritizing him the way that people think that maybe they would be. A 5-star guy. He just reclassified. He's still a 5-star guy. Usually when you reclassify, we see those guys drop in the rankings. Well, Booby's number 15 in the country after reclassifying, still a 5-star prospect in the 2026 class. So So I was okay. That'll be interesting. I'll be curious to talk to Booby on Sunday at the camp. So Booby goes out to the Under Armour camp, and I talked to him afterwards. I think I was the first person to interview him. I'm pretty sure I was. And I've talked to Booby a bunch, and I know Booby and decently well, and he's pretty forthcoming with me at this point. So we're talking. He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to take official visits to Texas A&M. He's going to take official visit to USC and to LSU." And he said, and then probably, he goes, "I'm only taking four visits. And then probably, my last one will be to Texas." So there's kind of a lukewarm vibe, if you will, on Texas. He already has dates kind of in mind for the other ones. And bottom line, Chad, is Texas went from 2 months ago. I think I did pick Texas to be the leader in that race. Now I'm putting Texas fourth in that race. They've slipped quite a bit. We can speculate or talk about maybe why, but Texas has kind of faded a little bit with Booby Feaster. And I don't want to say Texas is cooling on Booby Feaster, but I think the other schools are recruiting him a little more aggressively. I think Texas has eyes on other targets, maybe where they're kind of putting the bulk of their focus right now.
Interesting. Anwar, Alex, either one of you guys want to jump in with a question for Jason? I didn't want to hog up the time here.
I don't have a question, but I'll just say this. I'll shoulder shrug it. And I know that's saying it, and that's using my word. But I feel like over the past couple of years with the staff, we've got like real hype about like one particular prospect. Like it says like the Corian Moore 1 year. There's Micah Hudson, the previous year. We're like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? And then maybe that guy goes somewhere else. And then next thing you know, they end up getting a bunch of studs when it's all said and done. They don't get the Corian Moore, but they end up getting Khalid Lockett, Jamie French, Michael Terry, and Dale McCutcheon, right? So I'm almost at the point where I do appreciate the update that Jason's given, and these are all factual things. These are things we need to know, and we have to talk about it in real time as we are on February the 18th. And then I just think about the staff, and I just go, all right, well, Booby doesn't come. Like, all right, they're probably just going to get a bunch of 5-stars that come in his place, and we won't think twice about it. I don't know. Just everything about the staff seems to prove that no matter what they end up losing, and no matter how we overreact to the news, and again, we react in real time, but not how much we overreact to the news in winter or the spring. When it comes signing day, they always just seem to lock it down and get the studs when they need to.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like when it comes to, I always say with Sark, right? Quarterback recruiting and receiver recruiting are two things I'm never going to worry about, right? On personal level, it'll suck. Booby's like seriously like on that Malik Murphy level for me. Like I love the kid. I love covering him. He's awesome. So, I hope Texas stays in that race so I can continue to cover him. But he's a great player. I mean, 5-star player for a reason, right? But Texas will be just fine at the receiver position, whatever Booby Feaster does. I mean, that position as a whole is bigger than one player, and it'll suck having to play against him if he goes to LSU or Texas A&M, maybe even USC. Who knows? But Texas will be just fine. I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you at all.
I was just gonna say, like, if you think, well, clearly Texas would love to have the guy. I think any program would love to have the guy because he's a super uber elite talent. Anybody that watches him can see it. But you also have to know, man, with him reclassifying to 2026, he knows what he's doing business wise. He understands what this is going to be. He knows this is going to be a bidding war. And just with Texas, they just got done laying out a bunch of cash to a bunch of wide receivers at the high school level that they really, really like, right? And this was something that Cody and I talked about yesterday on our show. Was just, Booby Feaster is going to want a lot of money. And how much do you really want these guys, comparing? I don't know how much they compare each other's wallets or whatever in those locker rooms. I figure there's probably a little bit of that stuff. Do you really want to have to go back and do more negotiations next year with French and Lockett and, McCutcheon and Wingo? Say, why is this guy getting all the why is this guy maybe getting more money than me? And I feel like sometimes maybe when you make your big spins at these positions, we've seen the Texas staff kind of stagger them between classes, right? With the 2022 offensive line, then kind of no big spend ups in 2023. Thankfully, Trevor Gooseby hits. 2024, you get the big spend up in Brandon Baker. 2025, you don't spend up for the Fasusi. right? Whereas in
Yeah,
2026,
they tried.
what?
They tried with Fasusi.
Right. Well, but if didn't it feel like down the stretch they could have applied more pressure, saying like, dude, this Oklahoma team is in shambles, dude. Like we can come in with the Godfather offer here at the very end. I mean,
I think they tried. I think his heart was just at Oklahoma, honestly.
okay, but it feels like this year, they clearly have the eyes for Ojo and all the rest. So it's like, maybe with these guys who you kind of pay, these kind of superstar players that come from out of state and stuff like that, just like, man, are we really going to go through the circus with Booby whenever we'd love to have him. He's really super good, but it could cause problems internally. I don't know. That's the first thing that I thought of.
If you view him like a DeCorian Moore type talent, I think they would. I'm just not sure, as good as Booby is, I don't know that the Texas staff views him in that kind of light. Okay, let's just be honest. Fantastic player, but are you going to break the bank for Booby Feaster? I don't think Texas would.
Do you think DeCorian Moore's better than Booby Feaster, Jason?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, more explosive athlete. Just I think it's. I held DeCorian in really high regard. So I think it's a whole other level with DeCorian.
But I think
whole other level for you. It's like a significant tier.
But to give you guys some insight, I spoke to someone behind the scenes last year, as relates to the DeCorian Moore conversation, and they were really kind of blunt with me about the conversation, which was, look, the asking price for what he was wanting, why we're going to spend that when we can get 2 receivers for the price of 1? Like, it's a financial thing. Like, where you've got to decide, like, okay, we're working in this budget, we're working under these constraints. I can get one of this person, or I can get Lockett and French and be kind of good to go, right? So I think when there's tough decisions that have to be made. Like, the kids are going to get paid, but the schools have to decide, to Alex's point, right? It's like, okay, well, which guys are we going to pay? And I don't necessarily think, though, I don't hear much about the locker room stuff, even though everyone in the locker room kind of knows. But that doesn't become a factor. But it more is like, okay, we're going to spend X amount of money. Can I get value somewhere else? And if this person is let's say Booby's here, and we got some guys who are ranked just below him, but we feel like we can get 2 of them for the price of 1, then it's just a no-brainer. It's just finances. But NFL teams, the kind of decisions that they have to make all the time.
Yeah, and for people that are interested, Jason, I'll come right back to you, but we remind everybody on the shows, checking out orangebloods.com. The 3-2-1 from Jason is out this week. And Jason, part of that discussion is kind of in there. I mean, in your prediction this week, you're talking right along those lines where if you're not thinking right now that Texas is going to end up with Feaster, to what Anwar just said, I think you are going down that line of, okay, yeah, maybe there are a couple of these guys, really talented receivers you can get, even if you're not getting Booby.
Yeah, and that goes both in-state and out-of-state. I mean, I think you're referencing my prediction. I said, hey, I think Texas misses on Booby, but I think they land at least one stud out-of-state receiver. And I pulled up, like I referenced, Jabari Mack out of Louisiana. He's coming in for an official visit. Caden Dixon Wyatt out of Mater Dei. He's been to Austin a bunch on visits. He doesn't have an official visit set up yet, but I would expect that'll happen. Aaron Gregory is a guy that's committed to Texas A&M, out of Georgia, and Texas is trying to get him on campus for a visit, and I think there's a good chance that's going to happen. There's Tristan Keys is a 5-star player. Texas trying to make a move there. There's a lot. I mean, to Anwar's point earlier, I mean, if they don't get Booby, there's a lot of high-end talent across the nation and some guys in-state too that Texas is going to try to recruit, and they'll be in the mix for those guys. The Booby stuff, like I should mention, like as to why Texas kind of has fallen off a little bit with him and is probably running 4th right now. It was interesting. He said, I asked him, and he said, basically, he said, well, Texas took a lot of receivers last year, the guys Anwar referenced. But he said, but he goes, I don't mind that. I kind of like that they're actually developing high school guys instead of, because there's been a reputation maybe in some circles that Texas is just going to take guys out of the portal at receiver and not develop their young players. So Booby's like, well, they took a lot of receivers, but I don't mind that because that shows me that they're they're trying to develop some of those guys. So I don't know. I have a feeling somebody's putting that stuff in his head. Like, hey, Texas takes guys out of the portal. They don't develop their young guys. And then he also mentioned, and I put this on Orange Bloods on our message board. I'm going to elaborate a little bit in the war room. He said, hey, I just don't know that Chris Jackson is going to be at Texas long term. I think he's going to go back to the NFL. Well, Chris Jackson didn't tell Booby that. So who's putting that in Booby's head? I mean, somebody's filling Booby with some information that's causing him to have some doubts about Texas. But whoever's telling him those things, it seems to be working, because I feel pretty confident in saying Texas is running fourth in that race.
I know you got to get to the super chat, but if you're Texas, right, and you're looking at a receiver who probably, going rate for a 5-star is probably going to be over $1 million, and you say to yourself, we can get a Matthew Golden out of the transfer portal, and he's already proven he's bona fide, and he's a guy that, could be a first-round pick. It's just the math. It's just math at that point, right? And just last thing I want to kind of go back before we get to the super chat is, Jason, I could probably go through his running list. I mentioned like DeCorian Moore, Micah Hudson. I forgot about Evan Stewart, right? Like I could probably go through a list of guys that Texas has missed on, and be like, oh, damn. And all talented guys that you say you would love to have. And then the next thing you know, there's either get, Adonai Mitchell, they get a Golden, like they either get that or they get a Ryan Wingo who grows and develops. And, they're probably not, poor at that receiver position, but there are big boy decisions that have to be made, though.
We did have a super chat come in. Remember, they will go right to the top of the list if you throw something in there. Ran, we appreciate that. $4.99. Whatever happened with Texas and Ford at Duncanville? Any interest?
Yeah, Ran, you talking about KJ Ford? He was at the camp on Sunday, and I talked to him. I went up to him. I said, "Hey, KJ," I said, "I don't remember." Asked him whatever question. I said, "Hey, what's up with Texas?" And he's like, his answer, and I quote, "Nothing." That was his answer. I was like, "What's going on with you in Texas?" Nothing was his answer.
Wow.
That's just not happening. I mean, he said he might come down in the spring for a visit, but he said that would be as much as anything just to go see like Colin Simmons and Alex January and some of his friends on the team. Said schools like Alabama are pushing hard. I think Oklahoma is one he mentioned, but Texas just isn't aggressively recruiting him. He was planning on coming to the Texas Junior Day a few weeks ago. He told me he was coming, and then he ends up going to Oklahoma on that same day instead of Texas. So that to me was like, okay, that's a bit of a red flag. Well, I just don't think Texas is pushing that hard for KJ Ford. Really good player. Competed in the Under Armour All-American game this year as a junior. He's at the camp. Did
he take the step forward this year that people were hoping? Because he was a guy that had the developmental long body and just looked really good. But they're like, man, we wanted to put it together this year and really see it on the field production wise. Did he have a good? I haven't watched his tape from this last.
Yeah, good, not great, Alex. There's some people who tell you he's maybe not even the best defensive end on that team. So they've got other players, but Duncanville's loaded across the board. But bottom line is, I don't think Texas is pushing there, and he's just doesn't seem to have an interest in Texas. And KJ Ford's a really good player, but we kind of fall in this trap sometimes. Like, okay, he's from Duncanville, Colin Simmons. Oh, he's the next Colin Simmons, right? Well, listen, good player, but he's not Colin Simmons. I mean, and that's no slap to KJ Ford. I mean, Colin Simmons is elite of the elite, just like me saying Booby Feaster, put him a notch below DeCorian Moore. Well, that's just because I think DeCorian Moore is one of the best receivers I've seen in 25 years of covering high school football. But yeah, I mean, to answer Rand's question, it just, barring a complete turn of events, that's not going to happen with KJ Ford in Texas. I don't think Texas will even get a visit out of him.
Yeah. All right. So, Anwar, I'm going to blame it on you. You were very definitive about your Wi-Fi, and I think you just froze Jason's video. Are you seeing frozen Jason video like I am?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you perfectly. And I will say, Jason, we got a nice mean mug free. You look pissed. Like you look nice and mean.
He looks dialed in. He looks dialed in, ready to talk some ball.
It's hungover. What are you saying? What that face back up. That looks like a guy who's
Dude, he
been
looks
drinking
ready.
a lot.
Oh man,
Look at this dude.
he's ready. That guy's ready to tell you some stuff, dude.
Yeah.
That guy's like, let me tell you what an Under Armour camp is all about.
Yeah, man.
Come on. So we
take
did
him off.
We
He's
will,
rebooting. You want to take him off?
I was gonna say, we'll have
Jason hop off and hop back in, man.
Yeah, we'll have Jason hop out and hop back in, see if we can do that. While we are doing that, let's thank one of our great partners, and it is the partner that will help you breathe better, feel better, sleep better. They're one of my favorites. It's Sinus and Snoring Specialists. I went into this place in 2017, and they fixed all kinds of things with me. I had moderate obstructed sleep apnea. What did that mean? Meant I would stop breathing about 30 times in an hour, something like that. And I was also 85% blocked in my nasal passages. Yes, 85%, Jeff Ketchum fans. They were able to fix all of that. They were able to get rid of my allergies for good. For every person, it's a different process. And it's, there's just a different path, but they make sure they figure out what you need. It's not cookie cutter stuff. This is specifically designed for you. When they get rid of your allergies, they do it with an allergy drop therapy that's designed for you. They specifically will dial in those allergy drops for what bugs you, for what gets you messed up when it comes to allergies. So we're in that time of year, February, weather cold then hot, weather's dry then wet. Everything is crazy and it messes with your allergies. I know it does because it used to do it to me all the time. Not anymore, though. Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Check them out. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. There's your number, 601-0303, or you can get sinussnoringent.com. Shout out to them. Let's see. Jason has not tried to jump back in yet. All right. We may have more issues. Anwar may have literally sent his problems over to Jason. Here he is giving it a shot. All right. Let's how you doing?
Our ratings might go up if you guys can't see me and can only hear me.
I'm telling you. Jason, you
got
to
like I could hear you, and but then my whole computer just crashed. I was like, "Hey, we got to auto restart." So I don't know what happened there, but
we could hear you, and we got frozen on a wonderfully mean mugged face of yours. So that was that was fantastic.
Too much booby talk, I guess, right?
Yeah, right, exactly right. The Booby Feaster talk maybe freaked out the algorithm. Jason, before we leave that discussion, and certainly if the guys have something else they wanted to ask you about Booby, I just wanted to ask you about which of those other schools are you getting an indication? It's one thing to say, okay, Texas may be falling back, and like you said, they might be fourth. Any sense for which of them might be first, or is it really like a 3-horse race at the top?
Yeah, Booby would tell you. He'd tell you it's a 4-horse race, but certainly of those three, he'd tell you it's a 3-horse race. But I've always thought, Chad, that LSU was going to be Texas's biggest competition.
Okay.
Booby is originally from LSU or from Louisiana, excuse me. I think it's going to be LSU or A&M right now. And listen, I'm not totally discounting Texas. He showed up at this camp with the Texas backpack that he carries around everywhere with him, right? So Texas is still in the race, but right now, I would certainly favor LSU probably first, and then Texas A&M maybe kind of 1A. And as you guys mentioned with NIL and everything else, there's a lot of variables in that. If it's just a matter of who he loves, I think it'd be LSU. If we're talking, NIL and everything else, well, A&M's a formidable recruiter in that way. So, but those would be the two I would favor right now.
Gotcha. All right. So again, they get you a little
man, LSU. It's just if it's not, if it's not like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, then it's Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. and all. Look, they're gonna get Booby Feaster and just keep cranking these guys out.
That's a good point, Alex.
People talk so much about Ohio State, but the LSU guys have been better.
Yeah. Also, Brian Kelly's a TikTok star. What do you want to do?
Well, I don't know anything about that.
The kids just love it when Brian Kelly starts dancing in slow motion. It's like their favorite thing in the world.
It's interesting, but just real quick on that, the insinuation that Chris Jackson is going to potentially go back to the NFL, which is interesting considering he was just named Rivals Recruiter of the Year. It seems like he would kind of getting in his sweet zone, kind of his soft spot as far as being a college coach is concerned, and maybe seeing some, I'm sure he's going to get a pay bump at Texas for having that. And you would think he's going to be a guy to be around for a while. So it's interesting to that would be the thing. It makes sense to use that as a recruiting pitch against him, but it almost seems a little unlikely at this moment.
Well, because it's a total like feather in his cap for being like, you go to the NFL with your you got like, I got my resume here. It's like, I've done this and this. I coached this guy, developed this guy. I've done it with guys who've transferred in now. And, this year he's going to get the opportunity to do it with guys who he hand selected himself, right? That are young dudes that he's going to be able to develop. He's going to be able to point at all this, but he gets to the point on his resume where it says National Recruiter of the Year, and the NFL says, what do we care about that?
Exactly.
It's like,
that's what GMs are for.
but see, in college, right. But in college, you show that part of the resume, and you're like, oh, dang. It's like, all right, well, we have an offensive coordinator slot open. Correct. It's like, it's kind of so I totally agree. But
listen, NFL though, if you're a coach, you get more time off than you do at the college level because you don't have to deal with recruiting. And I just said it, you don't have to deal with recruiting. Some coaches just don't. They get burned out on the recruiting. And I'm not saying Chris Jackson because I don't know. I mean, he's only been doing it a couple of years. But some coaches just don't want to mess with the year-round recruiting stuff. And there's only so much ass kissing they want to do on these teenage guys. So that the idea of going to the NFL is appealing because you don't have to deal with those types of things. But yeah, I'm with you, Almar. This would be an odd time for Chris Jackson to leave, right? He's kind of riding high. He's got some incredible young talent in the program that he's going to have a chance to coach up. But, somebody's have been planting that seed in Booby Feaster's head for sure.
I mean, the thing is, though, the NFL offers that college doesn't for most coaches is more money. I mean, in college, you'll get paid more as a position coach than you will traditionally get paid at, again, at a major program. At a major program, you can earn more in college than you'll make in the NFL. So that kind of has a thing. And it's interesting because you feel like, and again, we'll see what happens, right? But I mean, Chris Jackson, when Sark makes the call, I mean, Chris Jackson wasn't known as a bum in the NFL. Like, he could have just said, like, nah, I'm good, and resurfaced at another potential NFL program. Like, once you get, and again, Alex can speak to it too, but once you get in the pipeline in the NFL, you always have a job somewhere. Like, you resurface somewhere, somehow, and you just wear a different logo every 2 years, 3 years, something like that. So if Chris Jackson wanted to stay in that pipeline, I think he could have easily done that.
And he was actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Almar. I mean, I know he came from Jacksonville. He was their receivers coach, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't like he's some low-level staff member, an assistant to an assistant. He was the Jacksonville Jaguars receivers coach. Yeah, I mean, he had a really good job that he left to come to Texas.
So it wasn't like Baker, right? It wasn't like Baker, who was the assistant D-line coach. It was more like Drayton, right? Stan Drayton was running backs coach in the NFL to running backs coach.
Yeah, but I'm forgetting exactly how the timeline went there. But was he on Urban Meyer's staff, and that was what happened? I'm kidding him a little bit.
You may be right, but Dan, I think Urban clearly didn't last the whole year. So I don't know. I can't remember the timeline for that one, though.
Yeah, boy, if he was, somebody needs to get those stories from Chris Jackson. I want to hear those stories. What that almost
he did not much to tell. It doesn't seem like Urban was there that often. Woo. So he can tell you what it was like running practices without him.
My God. And then Anwar, remind me and everybody else, but is Jackson a part of this group that is now getting the pay bumps right now? I know there's Sark and then there's a couple other guys. Is Jackson
not that came out in the Board of Regents book. It was Nance. Huge surprise. It was Jeff Banks and it was Nansen. Like, right, okay. Those are the other two. And then, of course, Torrey Becton just got his pay bump. And I'm sure Chris Jackson's pay bump is coming, even if it hasn't maybe been announced. But you got to imagine that's around the corner as well.
Also, Jason, to the Booby Feaster thing, I really felt old when I was reading the comments that you got from Booby Feaster, and it included a kid who's reclassifying, saying, "Well, wear and tear on my body," and I thought, "Wear and tear on my." Wait a minute, what? Like,
you're made of rubber right now.
Are we really in a time where the badass receiver, again, he's not a linebacker, he's not an interior lineman, a badass receiver is actually considering wear and tear on the body? Am I to believe this, Jason?
I don't think that was the first question I asked him. Okay, you reclassified, what went into that decision? And he said, to me, quote, to me, it was less years on my body. That was one thing. And I've already done so much in high school. I just feel like I was ready to go to the next level. I don't think he meant like wear and tear now. I just think I think Booby probably meant, like, the way I interpreted it. He's saying, hey, that's basically one more year in the NFL for him at some point. One more year of income, maybe a little less wear and tear at the high school and collegiate level, but he can just kind of accelerate things. He said, I've kind of done everything, I want to do. He's won a state championship. He's been a productive receiver in high school. So I don't think it was like a running back saying, hey, hold my carries. I want fewer carries for wear and tear. I think he's trying to maximize his opportunities moving forward, and that gives him one more year, frankly, of NFL production and an NFL paycheck.
Whoever Booby's agent is, it's clearly like Booby's listening to this person, male or female, because this is I'm not doubting the young man's maturity, but like he's making some grown man decisions right about now, and that sounds like he's got a grown person who's seasoned in his ear. Like, you got to have someone who's really seasoned in the ear to, like, you know what? You got to start thinking about wear and tear in your body. He's like, yeah, I just turned 16. He's like, yeah, but
right.
we got to think about time management. Like, how about this? Tell coach you'll play the first quarter, and then you'll start off a little bit of the third quarter and the fourth. But we got to do some time management. And then guess what? We take off like homecoming games just to rest your body. Like we're gonna LeBron James the whole thing in high school.
I mean, the kid is like you said, he's 16. He's healing up like Wolverine, and he's thinking. But you know what? Jason kind of said it there. We're in a world now, fellas, where you're getting rid of one extra year where they can't legally pay you. And if you're going to look at it that way, how would the rest of us argue? Because it's kind of, Quinn Ewers made a move, right?
Especially you're making the kind of money he's going to be making as a freshman in college. Hell yeah, I'd be pushing my kid to graduate early too.
Yeah,
can those if you're an LSU commit, Jason, can you start making NIL right away, or do you have to wait?
No, it's based on the state. So not in if you're a kid from California committed to LSU, yes, you can do NIL. Or I think, in fact, even Louisiana, I believe you could do it, but not if you're from Texas, because. Not yet, Omar, but those days are coming where high school kids can probably start making NIL deals in the state of Texas.
Yeah, definitely not going to fault him for that. All right, so keep your eyes peeled for that story. Booby Feaster reclassifying to 2026. You can check the full story that Jason got out in the 321 article. That is out at orangebloods.com. Also, obviously, the very latest on all the coaching and staff changes and everything. Anwar had the note out about Torrey Becton. We talked about that yesterday.
Did we? I don't know what the conversation was like based off the internet.
A little bit. Technically, Anwar and I spoke of it yesterday. You might see it on yesterday's show.
We hope. What you said when it's all said and done.
Before that was a weird show. Anwar and I could hear each other kind of. Anwar could hear me barely, but couldn't hear every bit of it. I heard him perfectly, but I couldn't get the message to it. It was very bizarre. But check out orangebloods.com for all of that good info. All right. Also wanted to thank this partner of ours, one of my favorite places in the world, Hay City Store. And I got out to Hay City Store this weekend. I had the blackened pork chop, and it was so good. I also took a couple of pictures, and I wanted to show you real quick. You see those chairs empty, but we went at 11 o'clock right when they opened. Here's a little personal tip for you. Get that reservation set for 11. There were people in the parking lot doing exactly what we were doing. It was like, okay, we're getting here. We're going to go in. It was great weather, a little cool, but they had the flaps down on the side, as you can see there. They put the new wall in the back of the ice house. It was such a good time out at Hay City Store. So get on out there. FM 150 in Driftwood. It is always a good time. And I was also inspired by my guy, Anwar Richardson. I had the old-fashioned at Hayes City Store. Anwar, I think you need to get out there and give it a try. It was really, really good. I had decided the beginning of the day, I'm going to drink like a man today to start with. In fact, I'm going to go whiskey and a beer. Ew, I was drinking like a man in Hayes City store. A lot of times I'll go in there and I'll hit the vodka route, but I went whiskey. I went old fashioned and then a beer, and it was lovely. So at some point on, you got to get out there.
You got a whiskey of choice. Do you go like with like a rye, or do you just go straight? Like what do you like?
You know what? I would have to look up exactly what they put in it, but it was brown and tasty is what it was.
Was there a nap later that afternoon?
There was, yes. There was. A little bit of a nap later on.
What a man you are, Chad. What a man you are.
It's a solid prediction. When you get to 50 and you're drinking whiskey, yes, Alex, naps usually follow. It was great.
A big black and pork chop and beers and an old fashioned, man. That's a
hey,
trip,
and Cody,
right to Nap City.
Fantastic. I had him bring that side of the cream gravy, even though I was going with the black and pork chop. Oh my God. It's fantastic. So good. All right. Let's see. Anything else, Jason?
People at Hayes City store care about food. They love just food. Do you remember we went to eat with them?
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, they were eating, they were trying stuff on the menu and stuff. And they're like, oh, this is kind of like when we did, like, it's like they go out to eat and it's like, they want to see what other restaurants are doing or stuff, like ideas they could get. And so, like, they just really love food, man. They put a lot of thought into those dishes. I'm sure that black and pork chop sounds really good.
It was great, man.
I don't think I've ever had one.
They do 3 kinds of pork chop. They do grilled, blackened, and chicken fried. And you cannot go wrong with any of the 3. I've had all 3. And they're silly. Sometimes I just rotate, just go around, which pork chop have I not had most recently? It is fantastic. Matt, yes, it works that way. Now you're hungry. I've done my job. I've done my job if you're hungry to go out to Hayes City store. Jason, before we get to anything else, anything either Booby Feaster oriented or Under Armour camp oriented that you wanted to get out in this show today?
No, I will spend a lot of time talking about that camp tomorrow.
I have a question for Jason if he doesn't have anything. Right on top.
There we go.
So, like, just compare. I thought that the clips that I saw from you was just from Jalen and just on X and stuff like that of Felix Ojo. I came away much more impressed with him than I was just by his huddle tape alone. What did you think about seeing him with your own 2 eyes as far as his length and his ability to win in those one-on-ones?
Felix Ojo, you're asking about, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Distracted by the chat. Yeah. First, I saw him down in San Antonio, Alex, in January at the Navy All-American Bowl. And I'd seen him before that, but that was the first kind of big setting I saw him in, and he did really well down there. So I came away from that thing thinking, okay, this guy's like big time good. And I think Rivals moved him up to number 2 in the state, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Rivals
now they got Booby number 2. I'm sorry, Felix is now number 3 in the state, ahead of John Turntime. 6'7". He said he weighed in at like 273, but he said, hey, he's lost some weight because he's playing basketball. He usually plays at around 280 pounds. But dude, like at that camp on Sunday, you saw a lot of the clips on. I put some on social media, and so did everybody else. But he just made it look ridiculously easy.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like. I came away from that camp thinking, okay, that was Michael Fasusi-like. Now, Fasusi, I think Fasusi's on a level of his own. But Felix Ojo, and I forgot to ask Felix. I don't think he's even turned 17 yet, Alex. He's really young.
Got to be kidding me.
Wow. Yeah, no, he's really young for his grade. So I don't remember when his birthday is. I need to ask him that. But yeah, dude, Felix is a really good player, obviously. Doesn't mind going out there competing. I love that from a guy who's already kind of a 5-star type talent. Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Ole Miss are some of the schools he mentioned. But yeah, to answer your question, I was really impressed when I saw him in San Antonio because I was like, okay, let's see how this young pup matches up against guys that are older than him, a grade older, and probably a year and a half older in terms of actual age. He held up really well in San Antonio. And I said, in fact, you probably didn't see it in my 3-2-1. I said, hey, he was the best player at this camp on Sunday, regardless of position. And it wasn't even close, Alex. He was the best player I saw by far at that camp on Sunday.
Okay, so I just want to make sure my eyes weren't because that was the thing where I said, look, I wasn't there, but you guys had really good coverage. Feel like I got to see most of the reps, and that was one. I just said that's the kind of camp from a guy that you walk out of there and you just say, man, what that guy just did is something really really special as far as just showing off traits. So it's good to hear, seeing it with the old eyeballs. You kind of felt the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he was really good, and like I said, just made it look easy. It was effortless too,
Jason and I will talk more about Felix Ojo and some more stuff from the camp tomorrow in the recruiting show. One of my favorite recruiting chatters throws this in real quick. David Keith says, if Texas could somehow get Turntine and Ojo, it would be the best tackle duo Texas has ever gotten in one recruiting class.
Have you forgotten about Banks and Cam Williams?
Yeah, but Cam Williams was not as highly. I think David Keith is talking about in terms of recruiting rankings. He's probably right. Now, in terms of what they turned into as players, yeah, they're going to have to measure up with Banks and Cam Williams. But in terms of recruiting rankings and that perspective, it would, since I've been covering it, for sure, it'd be the best tackle duo Texas has gotten. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bold statement, David Keith, but I like it. I like good, bold statements. All right, so we will do that tomorrow. Remember, the recruiting hour is 10 o'clock on Wednesdays. If you guys want to throw us a chat, we will get to it. A super chat can go right to the top of the list. Also, let me thank the good folks at Texas Card House. When you see the Modcast, we shout out Daily and Black. When we get to House Divided, that is Texas Card House. And specifically, they want you to know about Hijack Poker. Hijackpoker.com. This is online poker. For those of you in the great state of Texas, you can deposit and cash out at one of those 6 Texas Card House locations. So they understand. Sometimes you don't have a chance to get out to the card house. They'd love for you to, but if you want to go online and hit it that way, hijackpoker.com. Get that app put on any device and get after it. Anwar, I guess this is ultimately a question for you because I've been thinking about, I think, scheduling stuff and, spring football coming up. When we last spoke about, spring game and stuff like that, you've told people to kind of get used to the idea that maybe there won't be a spring game as it's kind of known. Do you have a sense, though, for when we might know about a spring schedule? And I've been wondering, do you think Sark might want to close a little more stuff down, knowing that the Arch Manning thing is going to be so monstrous that he might want to try to control a little bit of it in the spring and keep everybody away from it as much as possible?
Yeah, nothing new as relates to the spring game stuff. Look, we're in middle of February. We haven't had an announcement as relates to the spring game, and I'd have to go back and look to see when they announced it last year. But you haven't seen anything else, and I haven't heard anything recently that has made me think that what it's going to be a game that's played. I'll find out. I think one of the last times we talked about it. It's a good question because I'll double back and find out maybe what some of the details that potentially have been outlined since Sark has been back from vacation. So I know they've been going through coaching searches and trying to retain coaches and things to that effect. So there's been a lot going on, but I can check in on that. As it relates to Arch, I think they know it is what it is. And anything that's related to the spring, they can't dial that thing back. They won't be. They can't put that genie in the bottle. Like, they know what that thing's going to be like, and they know it's a rock star kind of thing. It's somebody. He was telling me that Arch was at like a basketball game, at UT, and they basically he walks in with security at that point, and not because he's that badass per se. It's just that. He won't be able to. There'll be the line to get an autograph or a picture will be so long and so distracting that they literally kind of escort him into the building and kind of escort him out. I think UT itself understands, the rock star status that he's already on, but I don't think that'll factor in the spring at all. And I think it's still more about the player development for all these people and all these guys, and kind of handling it as OTAs would be in the NFL, and kind of going and taking that approach. So, the Arch thing, it is what it is. And I think Sark has been well prepared for that for a long time. They've known about it. Hell, from recruiting on, we know everyone knows what that looks like. And I think Sark is cool with it. But I think so far, the spring looks like it's going to be some sort of variation of OTAs as they start to kind of get ready for the season and really get ready for what's really a 12-month long journey for these guys. Like they had 17 days off from the time the Cotton Bowl ended until they started winter conditioning. Like that's it, 17 days. So that's a long journey for a lot of these guys, and a lot. And so how do you get those guys ready for that to be able to play that many games, especially in the SEC? So I think you'll have that kind of ramp up and amp up. Now I have heard that the practices are going well, and there've been some intense moments because that's just what Torrey Beckton does. But there also is some, cycling down so guys can recover and then, build themselves back up.
Yeah. Alex, right or wrong, every time I hear about practice and if practice is open or closed, I always think of you for some reason. I always just think of you because you're one of my favorite football people. And I know you'd love to see as much as they would let you see in terms of the X's and O's of it. But I just keep thinking about what Anwar said, the scheduling of it all, add in the Arch Manning factor. I'm just wondering how much is Sark going to let everybody see? I mean, an interview after practice is one thing. I just wonder how many balls in the air are we going to have out there in video form, that they're going to allow from Arch, or are they going to try to keep it a little, as much as they can, try to keep it a little controlled before we get to Columbus?
Well, man, it's like, people, I've always been kind of a practice whisperer, man. I like going to practices and watching them and, pulling stuff out of it. And I can watch a little bit of practice and get a lot from it. But one thing I won't do, because I want legitimately to have more access to practice. So like you mentioned the X's and I'm never posting anything about X's and O's from practice. Like if there were stuff that I could pick up from that, I wouldn't do it because I know that would make the coaching staff angry and that maybe they would give us less access. I just want to look at the players, see how they're looking, tell the fans like this guy, like you should see his calves and stuff. It's just, stuff like that. Where are they lining up? How are they using them? How's this dude moving? And so I think it would be, I just look, I can understand that they want to make radical changes as far as what spring football looks like. And I know it's kind of really not even that radical if you consider that other teams have already kind of done. I mean, Ole Miss kind of did this last year, right? Texas has had a year where they didn't have a real game. I mean, all spring football is a set of 15 practices, with the last practice being a scrimmage that fans can come to. They just call it a game. So I'm hopeful that we get as much access as we would normally get during a spring period. Maybe get to go to 4 practices, something like that. I think that would be reasonable. I'd like something more like 5 or 6. I don't think we'll get that. We usually get around 4. I think we'll get them because here's the other thing, Chad. I guess you never. Have you worked on the TV side, like local TV? You've just always been more radio, right? Radio.
Right. Yeah. Not official. I've done things here and there, but not officially. No.
Well, these guys, they need to talk about the team, and Bianco knows it. Like they need some B-roll to just, even if they're just giving us a little bit of time to go out. We're definitely going to see some balls in the air from Arch Manning. Like Bob Ballou on CBS News at night is going to want to be talking about Arch Manning to the people that still watch the nightly news, and they're going to be able to put together these montages and talk about what's going on. And so we're going to need to have a little bit of access. I'm hopeful that with these changes that are coming, it doesn't affect us being able to just report on the team to the fans that just want to hear about it. And like I said, we're not giving out state secrets here. They don't allow us there for a long enough a period of time for us to get to even see any state secrets. So I think from our perspective, knock on wood, I hope it'll be about the same.
It's interesting, Chad. It's I know we're talking about spring, but I think about like the NFL and just like the difference. And you can go to the training camp in the NFL as a fan and just sit there and watch practice for weeks, not a day, like literally you can come every day for like 2 or 3 weeks
until game week, dude. It's like open. You just sit in the bleachers they have there.
And all day you can have food out there and just chill out. They have Sirius XM comes through and they do broadcasts from there, and NFL Network is there, and they're literally broadcasting your practice, and they're sitting out there, and then that's his training camp, right? And then during the season, as a reporter, you get to go out there for the first 10, 15 minutes every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, all throughout the year, throughout the year, with maybe the absence of a bye week, right? So it's just funny when we get here and it's like, no, I don't want you to see anything. And it's like, well, there's other people who literally just do a TV broadcast for your practice. So I'm hoping if he does OTAs, that he kind of implements that portion of the NFL. Now I know that's way too optimistic, but it is the difference between the two. So it is pretty funny to me. Ironic in some ways.
As we're sitting here talking on February 18th, no, like Anwar said, no official layout for the spring schedule yet. We'll keep an eye peeled for that and how they're going to deal with it in this new college football where the season does go a while. So how do you parse everything out and make sure these guys are recovering like they need to, but maybe you're showing the fans and media a little something as well, because you got to promote it. So we'll see how all of that rolls out. I do have a little buy or sell for the fellas before we wrap up today. Also, we do have a little thanks to one of our good partners. Let's go to a little AV consultations. 2 days in a row for Anwar to see and hear this. I know he's going to be excited. The AV consultation spot, reminding you that if you went somewhere for the Super Bowl, if you went to your mom's house or your grandma's house and she's got a bigger TV than you, you got to do something about that. Here's AV consultations.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been providing custom electronic systems for Central Texas for more than 36 years. And
old man, I think they all know who you are and what your company does. This is Camilla McKay. The old man believes in big fun and big ideas. He can make dreams come true, so why not dream big? I've been up in Boston, but I know the old man and all his friends and fellow radio heads have been spreading the holiday spirit here in Texas. Why should we stop there? Keep spreading the good feelings all over. Audiovisual Consultations carries all major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And you don't have to leave your house. Just like Santa, they deliver the gifts to you.
Yeah, I like that, kid. Throw a party, hang out with your friends, catch a concert.
That's all fun and good, but can we get back to the business? You can give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit our website at avconsultations.com for some cool electronics.
Oh, now you're forgetting something.
And as always, hug your kids. We only pretend to be annoyed. Watch some games with
Okay. Well, stopped a little quick there. They've accused me of stopping the spot quick. I don't stop the spot quick. I hope it came through all right there. We'll check on the technical side. All right, gentlemen, before we get to buy or sell, does anybody else have anything they wanted to get out today?
I have a question for Alex. Is there, with the scouting combine next week, or is there like a guy that you just can't wait to see perform?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys listened to Football with Friends last night, you'll know what I'm gonna say. But I mean, I'm just curious to see if everybody gets back on the Jalen Milroe bandwagon. Just kind of forget he had a bad Senior Bowl, kind of little bit of a up and down career at Alabama. People are just gonna forget all that. They're gonna see him walk in there, look like a statue with the media stuff, and he's gonna jump through the gym, dude. He's probably gonna run 4.3 or something like this at 220 pounds. People are just gonna say like, forget it. Like, an NFL team's they're gonna fall in love with those traits, and that'll be that. So I think he'll be the one athletically that I'm most excited to see. I'm most excited to kind of monitor what the narrative is with him. As far as with the Texas guys, I don't know, man. Is there any of them that you think are going to go and have some kind of super? I mean, last year we just knew that Worthy, right, was gonna run super fast. He goes and breaks the record. I with the Texas guys, I think that probably if one of them does test through the roof, it might be one of these kind of really surprising ones, like Adonai Mitchell, right? He comes and runs sub 4.4. We're just like, what? Where was that at Texas? And you ask him, he's like, well, I wanted to vary the speed of my routes. And so you hardly ever saw me at full speed. You're just like, well, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. So we were talking about it in our Orange Bloods meeting earlier, but man, it's going to be Texas has so many players, 14 guys, man. There's going to be dudes through there every day. So we'll have a lot of content over at Orange Bloods, we'll kind of have to get into a meeting with Ketch and Tyler and stuff about how we're going to be rolling that out between the site, maybe here on YouTube and all the rest. But yeah, I think with the Texas guys, I'm excited to see how the world reacts to them and what they're able to do once they get there.
You know what I'm excited about the combine? Alex and Cody Carpentier's 40 times picks for Prize Picks. You guys were money last year.
It's a generational wealth opportunity. It's just
yeah, dude. So I better steal those picks this year because I'm gonna play every damn one of them.
Yeah,
got to pay attention to those. Alex, kind of maybe expanding on your point about Milroe. Do you think Milroe will benefit more from the measured and time stuff you're talking about, or do you think Quinn Ewers will benefit more from the throwing part of the combine?
Well, Ewers is going to look great doing that. I hope it's and here's one thing. I hope there's no way that he would opt to wait for his pro day to throw, right? There's no way that's happening. That'd
be crazy to me. He should absolutely throw in Indy.
This is the kind of spot where Quinn Ewers he can look as good as every other quarterback in this class if we're just talking a controlled setting versus air. He can look every bit as good, even with the things that even with the deep ball and stuff. I've seen him at practice. Anwar's seen it. You know, Jason, you've seen it at practice. It's like he's a different deep ball thrower than he is in games, and I don't know exactly what it is. So even the stuff that you worry about that consistently we saw issues with through the last 2 years at Texas. He's gonna look really good doing that. He's gonna look good at the pro day. I think that he needs all the exposure that he can with that kind of thing for a GM or a coach to say like, oh God, well, dude, he can do. If he could do that, all we need to do is pull that out of him, and we're cooking with peanut oil. So, I think that he stands to help himself a whole ton with that. I think maybe. I think Milroe's just going to test so well. And we've seen that with a quarterback that was not ready at all. And Anthony Richardson, when he comes and just has a super good combine, is when you have those actual measurables, say like, well, this is one of the best combine performances we've seen is from a size adjusted perspective at this position. I think when you actually have that you can hold on to the actual quantitative proof that this is like the best I've seen versus just saying like he looked really good. I think probably the guy that has the superior quantified athletic testing might have a little bit more to gain, but certainly, man, I mean, Quinn has a ton to gain, and I hope this isn't something where he decides to opt to wait for his pro day, unless it's something where he's still recovering from the oblique or whatever, and he really can't have his normal throwing motion. Then, of course, that would be understandable.
Yeah, and that's I have Alex. What day is your St. Elmo's reservation? And and are you a St. Elmo's cocktail sauce guy?
Well, I'll tell anybody this: if you ever visit Indy, so St. Elmo's, Anwar knows very well, is like their most famous old like steakhouse. I think it's been there longer than any other place in downtown. Right? Old like wooden. You can still smoke cigars in this place, right? It's it's so St. Elmo's. There's a restaurant that's on the other street next to it, and it's right down there by the convention center where it's connected to it. And this restaurant is called Harry and Izzy's, and they share a kitchen with St. Elmo's. Right? It's the same. It's the same food, but St. Elmo's has the ambiance and it has just the tradition, and everybody knows St. Elmo's and they know the shrimp cocktail and stuff. Dude, Harry and Izzy's has all the same. It's the same food. You get the same shrimp cocktail, you get the same everything, and it's like 3/4 of the price, but maybe even like 2/3 of the price. Really, it's like even the shrimp cocktail, you get the same 4 shrimp, the same cocktails, and the same silver, awesome looking thing. And over at St. Elmo's, it's $19.99, and at Harry and Izzy's, it's $15.99. Right? Just because it's a new place. You
got my attention. Now you got my attention.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
Anwar, I don't have my St. Elmo's reservation because I will be eating at Harry and Izzy's, man. That's like I'm too cheap to pay for some
cheat code.
Yeah,
you got the cheat code really down pat.
Man, that's what you need. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you all ready to buy or sell a little bit here on a Tuesday?
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's start with a little Texas football. Anwar, we'll start with you here. Buy or sell number 1 in the killer road games, Ohio State, Florida, and Georgia. Texas will go 2-1 or better. Let's get some optimism out there. Buy or sell?
I'll buy. I mean, the Florida game, all those are going to be tough games. I feel like Ohio State should be kind of even, just kind of going into that one. But first game for both teams, right? So I think a lot of, unknowns there. Georgia, we have to see what they do from a quarterback position. Like, I don't feel like they're better off. From a quarterback, if I'm measuring Arch versus their quarterback, they're obviously going to take Arch. And, Florida is going to be one of those tough road games, but I'll buy 2-1 and better in those games. With the Sark on the road hasn't been too bad. We know what they've done against Alabama. We know what he's done against Michigan. So, I'll probably buy Ohio State and, at least Florida, for right now.
Alex, what do you think?
I think that they'll go 2-1 in those games, but I don't think they'll go better. I don't think they'll sweep them. I think it's more likely that they go 1-2 than that they go 3-0.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So you like the 2-1 idea though. Jason, buy or sell?
Yeah, I think Alex nailed it. And Anwar talked about the quarterback situation in a couple of those schools. So I'm going to buy, but yeah, I would agree with Alex. I think it's more likely they would go 1-2 than 3-0. I don't know that they can do 3-0, but 2-1, yeah, I'll buy that.
Gotcha. All right, guys, let's check in on a couple other sports. We'll start with Alex. Buy or sell number 2. NBA All-Star Saturday and Sunday got 2+ hours of your attention. Buy or sell?
That'd be a sell. That'd be a sell if you said 2+ seconds, brother.
I went a little too far. All right, that is a sell. Jason, buy or sell?
No, that's a sell. I'm an NBA guy to some degree, and I've actually been to the NBA All-Star game when it was down in Houston. I was in high school. That was an awesome experience. But no, I don't think I watched 2 minutes of it. I think I'm like Alex. I don't think I watched 2 seconds of it this year. I was busy with camp stuff. I was on the road, driving, traveling, writing on Sunday night. It was a busy day, so I didn't watch any of it.
That's 2 sells. Anwar.
It's a sell for me because I actually tried to watch it. And honestly, with you, when I turned it on, I didn't really see a lot of the stars that I would recognize kind of as more of a casual NBA fan. And because of that, I was like, And then I watched the first few buckets, and I reminded myself, oh, right, that's right. They don't play defense. This is just okay. I was like, I got other things to do in life. So I turned the channel.
Yeah, I didn't get there either. I tried, fellas. I did, but I did not get up to the 2 hour.
I did watch the highlights of the slam dunk competition, though. Now that guy, he continues to be a murderer. He's sick, but that's about it.
There you go. All right, let's hit another sport, gentlemen. Jason, we'll start with you. Buy or sell number 3. You will watch Canada and the United States play hockey on Thursday. Let's say like 5 minutes of it. Buy or sell?
Thursday. No, I'm going to be traveling on Thursday, so that's a sell. I better not be because I'm going to be helping my wife celebrate her birthday. So, no, and I probably wouldn't even if I was home. Again, I'm a marginal hockey fan. I like the NHL, like playoff Stanley Cup. I'll start watching, but no, I probably wouldn't watch that.
All right, Anwar, buy or sell?
Oh, that's a sell.
That's a sell.
I don't really watch a ton of hockey. I used to at one point. I don't like it. I don't love it. And honestly, I'm gonna sound really, really as a non-hockey person, and I'm gonna sound this is probably be one of the lamest things I'll probably say as a sports fan. I think the fighting thing is so overrated in that sport. Like it's so I know it's a tradition, but I'm just like, really, this is just what we're gonna do the whole time. Like, I don't know. There's a part of me that can't get into it.
See, that's what I was going to try to connect with you. I know you're a fight fan, so I'm thinking, well, they had 3 fights in 9 seconds. Maybe Anwar was kind of peeking in.
I saw the fights. I watched the highlights, but unless we're going to do it in all sports, like in basketball, I would love to see that. Just guys just start, oh, wait, and just Draymond, because Draymond tries to swing on anybody. So why not give it the legal right to do it? But nah, hockey's not me, though, unfortunately.
All right, Alex, buy or sell on hockey Thursday?
So I'm not watching hockey. Right. I have my kid. I have my wife is out of town for a business trip starting tomorrow. So, or is that tonight? Golly. Gosh, I'm gonna need to figure some stuff out before the show on Thursday. We can talk about that later.
There you go.
But so no, not on Thursday. And here's with the kids home, they're going to want to watch. We've been watching this Beast Game show, which I actually think is wildly entertaining. Mr. Beast's game show.
Oh,
and
okay.
They're only like 3 episodes into it, so there's no way I'm going to be able to watch what I want. If even I wanted to watch hockey, that's what they're going to be wanting to watch when they're home with dad these next couple of nights, I would imagine.
All right, by the way, to answer JDH when he says I've never been to a game, obviously that's actually obviously incorrect. I've actually been to several hockey games when I lived in Tampa, and I actually was the number 2 hockey writer for 2.5, almost 3 years, and I covered even NHL All-Star games. So I've actually been to plenty of hockey games. I mean, in fact, I used to ride in the private plane with the Lightning when I covered.
I thought you were going to say that you used to ride in the Zamboni.
Nah.
That would have been the ultimate trump card.
The private plane was actually probably better than the Zamboni.
I guess so. Right.
So no, I'm well versed in hockey. I just don't love it.
That is funny. All right, Anwar, let's go back to you here. Buy or sell number 4. If Texas does not get Booby Feaster, 30% of your sadness will be from the OB board missing out on the name, fun, and wordplay. Buy or sell?
Buy. There's just too many references. You know, that there's too many "that's what she said" references and too many sophomoric jokes that can be made. You know, when Booby comes or he's bringing someone with him. You know, so like the boobies or all those kind of things. So. Yeah, that will probably be the biggest loss.
Yep, there it is. Buy or sell, Alex?
I mean, it's gotta be a buy. There'd be a million things that the Texas fans would do with that. So sure, I'll buy it. 30%, yeah,
absolutely. Jason, you agree?
Oh, well over 30%. Texas recruiting other receivers. Booby's getting squeezed. I mean, we could just
God,
pop those off the top of my head all day, man. So that's an easy buy. Yeah.
Just a couple weeks ago on the recruiting show, I made a Booby enhancement joke, and Jason just rolled his eyes. But it was fantastic. I mean, come on.
Little known fact. When I as a kid, that actually was my nickname, Booby.
Booby, is that right?
Yeah, that's what my grandmother, my mom, and the older people. That's what they call me, Booby. I have no clue, but as a kid, that's actually what I was called.
Booby Richardson's a cool name, actually.
It flows. Then eventually,
I was just saying, man, you could have maybe stuck with that.
It evolved into Slim as I got older, so that's when people called me Slim. Now it's Unk, but so there's been an evolution. There's been 3, but as a child, it was actually Booby.
For some reason, I'm thinking of Booby Richardson could chase an Edwin Moses record. It feels like a hurdler to me. I don't know why.
Yeah,
like a badass hurdler on the track.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go. Yeah, for me, it would be up at 90% sadness if Booby Feaster doesn't end up being somebody we get to talk about on a regular basis. Personally, I might take the A&M thing as a consolation prize, but that's another discussion. All right, guys, let's finish off with a big birthday today. This made me feel old, and we'll start with Alex here. Dr. Dre is 60 today. Prime on Prime concert. I'm starting with you, music man, Alex. You'd rather see NWA than the Wu-Tang Clan. Buy or sell?
Man, who all was in NWA again? Dre, Eazy-E. Who else was in it?
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
Mm-hmm.
Was it just those? I thought there was
there's
those are the big name. You got what?
Was it Ren or something like that? There's a guy who lost his voice.
Yellow, is it Yellow Man? Yellow, DJ Yellow?
No, I think it was MC.
Let me look
MC
it up.
Ren.
Yellow. There was Ren. I think he lost his voice in oh no, DOC. I think DOC is the guy that lost it in a car accident. And Ren, those are the guys I kind of remember.
Yeah.
Man, I think that I think that I would want to, and then, but Wu-Tang was like Method Man, Ghostface,
Raekwon.
No, I'm gonna see Eazy-E and Dre and stuff.
All right, going
especially in their prime. Can you imagine? In their prime, that might have been a dangerous one to attend.
Yeah, and I will guarantee everybody's safety too. Jason, you agree? Buy or sell?
Easy buy, man. I was a big Eazy-E fan back in high school. Yeah, I'd be NWA all the way.
Anwar, buy or sell?
it's interesting because there's a lot of people on stage at that Wu-Tang concert, man.
Yeah, for whatever the prime Wu-Tang is, man, you got like nine people.
But you also had
stage.
Old Dirty Bastard with Wu-Tang as well. So in their prime, you had Ghostface, Meth, RZA.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of that. That's actually one of your toughest buy or sells that I would go into, but probably NWA just for the shock value of things and the things that they said. The things that they said and things that they were rapping about. Probably more so. I also feel like a Wu-Tang concert with 25 members would take forever.
Yeah, it would. That's true. That's good. All right, there's a buy or sell. Jason, I know you got to go be a dad, so we will let you go. I will see you tomorrow for the recruiting hour. How about that?
Yeah, I got a few minutes for
you. Good? You can hang?
Yeah, it's only about a 5-minute drive.
Oh, beautiful. All right, so I just got to do one more thing here. Let's give Specs love. Thanks to over 900 of you in that Specs chat. If you need a bottle of wine, they got a sale going on. Here you go.
With hundreds of wines on sale, Specs is turning these aisles into the ultimate love story.
Uncork something special during Specs' huge wine sale, going on now. Specs, the fun starts here.
All right, that is just about going to wrap us up. I do not see any super chats we missed, so thank you guys for jumping in the chat. One quick PSA, if you're a Longhorn baseball fan, first off, shout out to our guy, Zach Sim. He's interviewing Coach Slosh every week. There's a show on Orange Bloods Live. You get to see an interview. This week's is like 14 minutes talking about last week's games, the 2 out of 3 win to start the year, and then going into the rest of the season. But if you have like a granddad or a dad and they're a little bit on the older side and they remember all the Longhorn Network stuff, remember, you're probably going to need to get them ESPN Plus. I double-checked the schedule today. There are 3 games on D1 Baseball, which I think is a website. Maybe you have to pay, maybe you don't. I would hope not, but only 3 of them. There are 11 games that are on regular television. SEC Network are like an ESPN channel. And only 1 series, the A&M series, are they all on regular television. There are 30, listen to me, Texas baseball fans, 37 Texas baseball games this year where it says SEC Plus. That does not mean SEC Network. That means you have to have ESPN Plus. Don't let grandpa go breaking his TV because you didn't tell him. Don't let grandma rip the curtains out of her house because she can't listen to baseball and watch baseball. Just the PSA for you. Texas and Houston tonight at 6:30 as we talk to you on this Tuesday. Guess where it is? ESPN Plus. Just saying. In case you aren't into that version of streaming, you better get that way if you are a Texas baseball fan. All right, I think we're good. Everybody good?
I want to address here.
Yes, sir.
Jared Gerard. I ain't falling for that. You're going to have to Google that.
Come on, Jared.
No, you're going to have to Google that on your own, man.
Jared, you think this is our first rodeo? What? You think this is our first show? Come on, man. Thank you all for liking and subscribing and getting your notifications. If you didn't like it on the way in, make sure to like it on the way out. Thank you guys for your support. Football with Friends coming up at 6 o'clock this evening. Anwar's got Old Fashioned for you tomorrow at 9. Jason and I'll have Recruiting Hour. More Felix Ojo talk. What did Jason think? Getting his eyes on Felix Ojo live. We'll get that discussion in tomorrow, and we'll have an Outsiders tomorrow evening at 8:30. Y'all have yourself a good Tuesday. Take care. Weather about to get really cool for a lot of folks, so stay warm as well and stay safe out there. We will talk to you soon here on Orange Bloods Live. See ya.